Sup, human race? This is Rttta, and I am Garrett Williamson, your research guide. This show, Random Things to Talk About, is when I talk about things that interest me, old or new. So yeah, some quick updates. There's actually only really one update, so I'll go ahead and say it. So there's this little thing I like to call Supernote. Okay, no, I don't call it that, that's really what it's called. And it's this thing that Rhett and Link have been doing. Supernote is basically a really funny competition, which is basically where they gather up a whole bunch of YouTube celebrities and they assign them team captain. People submit a video to whichever team they want to join, and basically they just record themselves trying to hold one single note the longest. So, I joined Rhett and Link's team, which was Team Mythical Beasts. But basically, I just uploaded a G-vlog about Supernote 2012, and then I submitted my Supernote. So yeah, if you want to get a laugh out of me just sitting there holding one single note for only 25 seconds, I really sucked. I've done so much better than that. But yeah, basically, just check it out. It's on our second channel, so if you want to go see it, go over there. Link in the description. So, with all of that said, I am now going to get into the actual part of the show where I'm actually talking about things that interest me. Luckily, we got a comment this week from SpyroSonic2000, who has actually been with us for quite a while. He's been a subscriber for a good amount of time. So yeah, SpyroSonic2000 asked a few questions, and then he requested what we should talk about this week. Thank the Lord somebody did it. We are not really getting all that many comments on Rttta right now, so please, I mean, if you are watching this, just say something. I don't want to be there, you know, making a video feeling like I'm talking to the air. When you comment, I know I'm not talking to the air. So we'll start off with what he requested to talk about this week. So he said that I should talk about my opinions of the Mario, the Zelda, the Metroid, and the Kirby series. Well, this guy has been talked about too much. Zelda has been talked about too much. Kirby I know nothing about except he's a pink ball that looks a lot like Jigglypuff, except he's got smaller eyes or something like that. I compare them all the time. They seem so similar. So yeah, no Mario, no Zelda, no Kirby, but Metroid! Hey, looky there. I haven't spoken anything of Metroid and I don't even know why, because I loves my Metroid. This is like nothing anyway. There's like 20 more games in this or something. I'm holding like 2. Yeah, let's put these back in my little library behind me, shall we?
And we're gonna put them back in here. And that's my alarm. My alarm to do some crap I should be doing.
So anyway, Metroid, yeah, okay, so cool. I knew a whole bunch of really interesting facts on, and I completely forgot all of them.
Garrett doesn't know what to talk about. What are we gonna do?
No worries. We have the internet. Okay, here we go. Alright, so then how about we just give like a brief history on Metroid. So the first Metroid game came out the same year Zelda came out. At that time, in the mid-late 80s, all of that time. The NES was really the big thing. That was the system everybody was playing. The NES was really where a whole bunch of really famous Nintendo characters we see today started. And of course, Metroid was one of them. Metroid is certainly, even though the earlier games were rated like E, mainly just because there was really no good way to make it extremely violent when it's all pixelated and it's really low quality sound. Metroid is most certainly one of the darker, if not like the darkest series in the Nintendo brand. It actually was sort of inspired by the Alien films. I believe it's Alien. Is it Alien or Aliens? I always forget. The series even now though is very toned down, a lot more kid-friendly than the Alien series. But nevertheless, still really dark. I mean, the majority of the games have been rated T. I think Metroid has probably gotten more T ratings than any other, like, completely original Nintendo series. But anyway, with all of that said, back to the history. So it started in 1986, like I said, on the NES. And, I mean, it really was considered one of the first free-roaming games around. And people really just didn't understand it. They were so used to, like, the platforming game stuff where if Metroid was to be that much of a platforming game, it would literally just be shoot and run to the right, most likely. I mean, that's basically all you had to do in Mario and Sonic. Press A to jump and run to the right and hope you don't die, and that's about all you have to do to play the game. But, I mean, people did start getting confused with the game just because, I mean, it was a rather big game, and it honestly was like, people were like, what do I do? This is very different than any other game I've ever played. We all know, at least the majority of us should know the story of Metroid. If you're watching my videos, you're probably somewhat interested in video games, or you're just watching this for anything other than video games. But I mean, the story is, you know, there's these creatures called Metroids, which is, you know, that is the title of the game. Most of the time, it takes place on planet Zebes. I can't even say it. And you know, there's the evil space pirates, which we have to destroy, and Mother Brain, and you're basically a bounty hunter, which is like totally awesome. But you don't even know what gender you are yet. You're just guessing you're a male because only guys wear this big of armor. So you're a male, right? Wrong. By far, very wrong. It is made explicitly clear at the very end of the game, and it's a big surprise and almost like a joke that they did this. But I mean, they even say that Samus is a guy in the instructional book. So I mean, Samus is a guy, right? Yeah. But again, I say, you are wrong. At the end of the game, when you beat everything, Samus's armor falls off, and most of you should know about the whole gender of Samus by now. And basically, it reveals that she is a woman, and rather explicitly, because she is in her swimsuit. But yes, she's a woman. So then, from then on, anybody who had beaten the game knows that Samus is a woman. And this also marks one of the very first times that the heroine is a girl. So yeah, that, and then, you know, later on, for like the Game Boy and other systems, like the Super Nintendo, Super Metroid, which was a huge success, huge deal. So yeah, the thing where she reveals herself as a woman or whatever at the very end of the game became like a tradition. That just sort of became the thing. And then the Nintendo 64. And what happened on the Nintendo 64? Nothing. The only appearance that Samus made on the 64 was Super Smash Bros. That was the only appearance of her, and then she just really wasn't around. And then the GameCube comes in, and we're back to business. So the GameCube is in, and the very first full-on 3D Metroid game, which I was holding earlier, Metroid Prime, appears. And I believe that was 2002, and that is the first, it's 10 years old now, it's the first full-on 3D Metroid game released, and a little bit before that was, or at least after it, I forget, was Metroid Fusion, which is like, I believe, like the very last one, chronologically speaking, in the series. I'll get to that in a moment. And then they had a Metroid Prime 2, and then a third one, and somewhere in between all this mess, Metroid Zero Mission came in, and that was the first appearance of Zero Suit Samus. And then I think she appeared in both Metroid Prime 2 and 3. And then the game that I got, which lots of people loved and lots of people didn't like, Metroid Other M. People just can't accept change. A big change in both this series and Nintendo in general was that this is probably the first time there was full-on, like, huge amounts of, like, dialogue all over the game. Nintendo is really known for never having any dialogue except for remarks and text on the screen. There is never, ever any dialogue. Another cool thing is they were actually using some orchestra, just like everybody else has been doing in their games recently, because, you know, now they have the power and the memory and stuff to do it, and, you know, why not? So then, yeah, gave you a little brief history. So let me just go ahead and go through, chronologically speaking, the order of the games. I've already told you that this is sort of how Zelda goes as well. I said about Zelda that Zelda is like Metroid in the fact that they were both released in different orders, but chronologically speaking, they, you know, I don't even know what I'm saying. But I think you understand what I mean. The thing with Metroid is, they just release them in different orders, but there's no, like, huge timeline with, like, 3,000 other branches, like Zelda. But even though that, or whatever, I don't know what I'm saying. Whatever. Here's the chronological speakingness of the game series order. Good Lord. Okay, so first, Metroid. That's different. The first game released is also the first in the series. chronologically speaking. Zero Mission, which came out much later, is actually the second, chronologically speaking. The third is Prime, which we all know is later on as well, chronologically speaking. Why am I saying that? Okay, you know I'm chronologically speaking. I'm not going to say that anymore.
Chronologically speaking.
And then you've got Hunters, Echoes, Corruption, Trilogy, you know, the trilogy, which you get what I'm talking about. Return of Samus, which is the second one released in the series. And then you got Super Metroid, which is for the SNES. And then you've got Other M, which was released recently, but chronologically it takes place in between Super Metroid and Fusion. And Fusion is the last in the series. So yeah, I've already spoken for like 32, 33 minutes unedited. This is going to be edited down to probably like 10 minutes. So yeah, there you go. There's your Metroidness of today. Okay, so Spyrosonic 2000 also has quite a few questions. So he asks, what is your favorite song? Okay, well, it is in between these three. Blackbird by the Beatles, Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, and Scream by Michael Jackson. Love it. Scream is, to this day, my favorite Michael Jackson song, and it is one of my favorite songs I've ever heard. What is your favorite current generation console, or is it next generation console? I believe it's next gen, but I get the next gen stuff mixed up. I really don't know, but I'm guessing when you said current that obviously just means what is my favorite console existing right now. Oh jeez. I'm not thinking about which is the best. I'm trying to think of the worst, which is the best. Because personally, I'm not a huge fan of any of the new stuff. I'll live with it. There's some good stuff on there, but I mean the console overall, I just am like, eh. Okay, well the PS3 is immediately eliminated. The PS3, again, I can live with. Good games on it, but there are some things I really dislike about the PS3. And then there's the 360, which honestly, the only game I really care about on the 360 is the Halo series. The Wii has got really good games on it because it's, you know, Nintendo, but then at the same time it's got really suckish games. And there are some games on the 360 and the PS3 that are really amazing that of course aren't on the Wii, or are on the Wii and the ports are just crap because Wii's just can't hold as much memory. And of course, for some reason they decide they're going to put the same graphics card in it as the GameCube. So we don't even have HD games. So my favorite one? You know what? I really don't have one, but just because I want to answer anyway, I'm gonna say the 360 just because it's a good console, it's nice and strong, it's got good games on it, even though the only series that I really care for is Halo. It truly is a good system, so I'm gonna say the 360. My favorite game system of all time is either the 64 or the GameCube, and I've made that clear before. What will you do for Halloween? I don't really know what I'm gonna be doing for Halloween, and do you want this potato to die? No, I do not like Astaf movie.
Die, potato.
Yeah! But do I want the potato to die? Frankly, yes. And at the same time, I really wanted to eat it. So, no. So yeah, that's about it. I've recorded for a really long time, so we're gonna get to the closing part of this video. So if you're like this awesome Spyrosonic 2000 dude, then you should comment requesting what I should talk about next week, suggesting something new, or I mean your opinions on, I haven't even gotten to this yet, the question of the week. But you also do not have to just comment on your request, suggestion, or whatever else. You can email us at GCWaves2@gmail.com. This is easiest for people who have an email but don't have a YouTube account. And what should the question of this week be? Oh, I got one. Okay, how about this? What do you think... okay. I've got one. This is a good one. What are your thoughts on me having a tattoo on myself? I like tattoos, and I would wear one. I honestly would. Most of you would probably be freaked out. Okay, so there's your question of the week. It's really bizarre, but you know what? I'm bizarre, so welcome to Bizarre. So, what should you do to this video? Share it, comment, smash that like button, and last but most certainly not least, subscribe! I should have done that for Supernote. That really should have been it, except I should have held the note a lot longer than that. So yeah, this has been Rttta, and I leave you with one word. Farewell. Hello, and this is the new end screen. So yeah, it's a lot more organized. It's good. You should like it because it's awesome. And
Yeah, the best button is subscribe, but, I mean, click any of them. Not all of them are linked, but, you know. Also, change the intro. You probably noticed that. It's very easy to notice. Anyway, gotta go. Bye.